Chrysler and GM announced they might be in big trouble. Ferrari comes out with yet another reason to sell some more t-shirts, and in England, they're giving away 2-for-1 Dodge Avengers. Joining me on the program today, Ulrich from the New York Times. What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I'm Matt Farah, and you guys are watching Garage419.
This episode of Garage419 is brought to you by Valvoline's automotive series Under the Hood with Brandon and the Frog. Watch for new episodes at brandonandthefrog.com.
Lawrence. On Friday, we had a real big announcement from the General Motors, saying, well, that they might be going bankrupt by Christmas. Have you seen this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really ruined my weekend.
I can tell. What is going to happen here? I mean, Chrysler and GM, well, Chrysler's a private company, so no one really knows what's going on there except to know that it's not doing well. GM is burning through cash like crazy. I mean, what's going to happen in this company? Are they going to survive?
It's hard to say. You know, I guess this is the sign what happens. 30 years of neglect, you know, and bad management and, you know, mediocre cars, and you start to wonder about, you know, how long you can fritter it away and then bring it back. You know, even besides their financial problems, you know, they have to borrow money at basically, you know, delinquent credit card rates, you know, worse interest rates than I can get even. And on top of that, just, you know, the perception that fixed in people's minds that the cars still aren't as good, that they're not as good as the best Japanese cars, or that they don't get as good fuel economy.
Well, small cars, certainly. I mean, with the way the trending gas prices recently, I mean, it's widely been kind of accepted that, yeah, Americans can make good trucks. And that is probably true, but that the Japanese and the foreign competitors have always had an edge when it comes to small cars. Now that the market is shifting towards smaller, more efficient cars, the customer is going elsewhere because they have a perception that these Japanese cars and even the Korean cars and the European cars are they're better at doing that. Plus, I think, do you think that the bailout in the early 1980s, the government bailout, kind of set a bad precedent that these companies are now saying, well, you know, they got bailed out before, you know, maybe they'll bail us out again?
Yeah, and it's worse this time. Of course, that was a single company for a measly, you know, couple $1 billion, and you look at that, just chump change compared to the kind of money they're asking for now. And it's yeah, the clock is ticking. There's no doubt about it. If the industry recession lasts for much more than another year, and it seems, you know, certain that it's going to go at least that long, these guys are really going to be, you know, just emptying out their pockets and doing anything it takes. GM and Ford are definitely in a better position than Chrysler. These are real global businesses. They can kind of, like, you know, fall back on what they're doing in Europe and Asia, and they have a lot of resources and things that they can still fire sale in those areas. But Chrysler, of course, is in the weakest position of all. They just don't have a global business.
Not to mention, I mean, honestly, I don't know how you feel about Chrysler, but for me, with the exception of the Viper, they don't have a single product that I want to buy, or that anyone I even know or have talked to wants to buy. That's the bigger problem than poor capital management at this point, is the fact that at least Ford and GM have products in development, products in the pipeline. You know, GM has the Volt, Ford is bringing the Fiesta over, the European Focus, and some more of their European models, and with some new engines. I mean, Chrysler doesn't have anything coming out that looks remotely appealing to me.
Absolutely. You know, right, like you said, GM and Ford have a cavalry, you know, that might be arriving from Asia, from Europe, that might be able to help bail them out. But Chrysler, they look more and more sunk. You know, the Dodge and Jeep brands have value, but only to be broken up and sold maybe to some, you know, third world automaker that would use them to enter this market.
Right.
You know,
yeah, to use that brand name with a better product than Chrysler can come out with, and maybe revive that name.
Absolutely, but yeah, the cheap plastic and the underwhelming powertrains just aren't cutting it with these guys.
And how bad is the Dodge Avenger? Well, in England, there are dealers giving away, I kid you not, 2-for-1 Dodge Avenger SXTs. Buy one, get one free with a Dodge Avenger. I mean, that's impressive, to say the least. I mean, I've never ever heard of a 2-for-1 car deal before. I mean, I've heard of, you know, free floor mats, but not a second car. Come on. So, Lawrence, let's move on from this bad news onto some good news. And a new model from Ferrari is always good news. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So, what is better than, well, or maybe better in someone's opinion, we'll see, I guess. What's better than a 430 Scuderia? Well, obviously a Scuderia Spider. The Scuderia Spider 16M to be specific, to commemorate Ferrari's 16th Manufacturers' Championship in Formula One. Lawrence, here's the question. If the 430 Scuderia is the hardcore track-prepped 430, why a Spider? Isn't that counterproductive there?
Well, you know, I'll step in. I'll speak for the South Beach Coke dealers and
that's obviously their target
and
market.
what's left of the hedge fund zillionaires. Hey, if you can have a Ferrari with all the performance and you want to feel the wind in what's left of your hair, hey, why not? You know, there's always got to be some one-upmanship in this class, and I'm sure the car is still fast and brilliant to drive.
Yeah.
And I like to defend convertibles, whether they make sense or not. There's a tiny slice of the market who just says, give me everything and then give me a little bit more, and Ferrari's there to answer that market. And go ahead, rip on me. I'm
well,
ready.
Look, I mean, no one is going to argue that Ferrari will sell every single one of the 499 models they're going to produce, okay? They're going to be sold out. They're probably already sold out. I mean, the car was announced 2 days ago. They're probably already sold out. But on the other hand, isn't it kind of a little bit, you know, almost sacrilege to say here is this hard-edged track car that goes to the most extreme levels of performance, and then to say, well, we're going to make a Spider version when it's kind of obvious that a convertible version of anything is no longer the most extreme level of performance? I mean, no response. I feel like Eminem in 8 Mile.
No, absolutely. Hey, right, for a track car, right, give the purist, give him the roof.
Yeah.
You know, the guy who buys this car isn't going to be talking about it with his friends and his women about, you know, about which one performs best. He's going to be talking about, you know, how much he paid for it, and aren't I cool? And hey, and by the way, and look at the matching suit that I've got with this thing.
The final thought on the Scuderia Spider is, in my opinion, the most kind of contradictory feature of the whole thing is not the fact the top comes down, is the fact that it comes with an iPod Touch in the dash. Why you need an iPod Touch? You shouldn't be. First of all, if you have a Scuderia and the top comes down, imagine how good that engine sounds. If you ruin that with music, I'm going to come to your garage, smash your car's window, and then punch you in the face. What would you say to the fact that the Scuderia Spider comes with a built-in iPod Touch in the dashboard? Is that sacrilege to have a radio in a Scuderia Spider?
No, once again, it's critical for the Scuderia Spider buyer. He needs to roll up to the valet line with, you know, the soundtrack of, he's going to be playing Rihanna, you know, loud enough to drown out the engine. He's going to feel that much cooler.
What's next? The optional JLW7, 5,000 watts of bass in the trunk?
Yeah, so I think under that glass case, you know, there you got a little display for your subwoofer.
Yeah, forget red cylinder heads. Give me a JLW7. Coming up on Garage 419, we're going to talk about the best and worst roads in this great nation of ours to drive really, really ridiculously fast. Stick around.
Auto do-it-yourselfers have amazing bartering potential.
Well, not until you fix my car like you said.
You get a free pizza in exchange for some easy car work. One reason that a car might run hot is because of bad or low coolant. We're gonna play it safe and replace the fluid. Best free thing there is, man.
You know, I'd do just about anything for this free slice of pizza right here. Oh, I'd even shave off my sideburns. Fortunately, I don't have to shave off my sideburns because I can change my own antifreeze. And according to Brandon the Frog, free pizza is the going rate for a coolant change these days. So if you want to find out how to do it yourself, maybe get yourself some free pizza, go to Under the Hood with Brandon the Frog at brandonthefrog.com. I'll see you there.
There are places in the rest of the world where Big Brother is constantly watching you on the highway. We've got speed cameras, red light cameras, cameras for God knows what, radar traps everywhere. The UK especially is really bad for speed cameras. And now Arizona has allowed all these speed cameras to be installed near Scottsdale. Now Lawrence, at what point is Big Brother getting a little too close to our right to break the law if we choose?
Well, anywhere where there's a speed camera. I mean, these things are the bane of, you know, anyone who enjoys driving. And
yeah.
You know, everyone knows, you know, when they're stepping over the law. No one argues too much when you're going 100 and you get pulled over. You know you were on the wrong side of that one. But with the speed cameras, you know, they're so arbitrary and they're so screwed up half the time. You know, they'll give you a ticket, send a ticket to the wrong address. They'll nail you when you're not even speeding. There's just been case after case of really, you know, arbitrary and really shaky enforcement, and that's what gets people angry about them, is like the lack of due process and the lack of fairness.
Well, God forbid you lend your car to somebody and they take it out, you know, and they get a speeding ticket, and then all of a sudden it's your responsibility. But I mean, I'm not going to go on camera and say that we should have the right to speed, because I mean, look, it's a law, and if you're going to speed, you're breaking the law. I get that. But I do think that you should have at least a fighting chance where if you break the law and they don't catch you, you should be okay. I think there should be a human that has to catch you breaking it. Is that unfair of me to say?
No, and it tells you when it's one of these situations where it breeds disrespect for the law, because people can see right through this, that it's not about safety, that it's about revenue, that time after time the communities that promote the speed cameras are ones that, you know, are coming up short of their city budget, and they say, and somebody comes up, aha, you know, I've got a great idea, here's how we can make some money and get back in the black again. And that just tells you it's all about raking in the money. And you've got private companies in the vast majority of these places that are the ones running this, and so they're making their cut, and that's really shaky too. It's one thing to give a little tax dollars to your government. It's another thing when you've got a private company that's making money off speeding.
Well, in New York City, I know they don't have speed cameras, but they do have red light cameras. And I've read studies where the red light cameras have lowered the rate of side impact accidents from people running red lights, but have increased the number of incidents of people being rear-ended by someone slamming on the brakes for fear of a ticket. So it kind of is like, you know, which would you rather have? You know, the overall accident rate has not gone down that much. On the other hand, everyone has their favorite places to speed, and then there's the worst places to speed where it's like you're gonna get caught. What are a couple of your favorite speeding locations, Lawrence?
Well, let's start here in New York. You know, one of the biggest myths around is that there's nowhere to drive in New York City. Come out here. It's like you get about 15 minutes north of the city, and you're already on some of the really spectacular driving roads. I like going up 9W. It's like our own little Highway 1 up the Hudson. Get north of West Point on 9W. It'd be nothing but sport bikes and great place to speed.
On a Sunday morning, lots of sports cars up there. You'll see that. Anywhere up by Bear Mountain State Park, I love. But there's also, that's the windy road side of things. Then we've also got, out in Utah, you've got like Route 80 and US 93. These are like 20, 30 mile straightaways where you can just see really far, and you can pretty much safely top out anything you've got. I like that too. What about the worst places? Do you have a bad place?
Well, I did a little story. There's a little town called Island Pond in Vermont, and it was one of the most notorious speed traps in the country. Single magistrate, the local sheriff, was handing out tickets for things like "Stop Not Sincere." And,
I read that story.
Yeah.
You didn't really mean you're stopping that sign.
Exactly. And they finally, the merchants got so fed up with him, you know, ticketing everyone and, you know, kind of putting a damper on people coming to town that they elected a 27-year-old sheriff and got the guy out of office. So come to Island Pond, Vermont, and put the hammer down.
You won't get arrested for speeding anymore. Well, in South Carolina, there's another one in Bluffton. Notorious, the Bluffton Speed Trap, which is a 55-mile-an-hour zone that drops down to a 10-mile-an-hour zone for about 500 yards right in front of a school, and then goes back to 55, and there's only one sign. And it's just, I've gotten nailed with a big ticket there, and I would not recommend speeding through Bluffton, South Carolina anymore. But we want to hear from you guys. Tell us. Leave a comment below. What is your favorite place to speed? And if you want to warn us, too, warn us, where should we not be speeding? All right? Lawrence, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Matt.
Always good hanging out with you. I'm Matt Farah, and you've been watching Garage419.